Welcome. Fresh episode, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights here with Adam Martin, as you can see from the show notes. Looking forward to our conversation. But first, thanks to our sponsors, Burbank Sports Cards, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Beckett.com, Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication, ComC.com, Topps, Panini, and Upper Deck, as well as Heritage Auctions and Huggins and Scott Auctions. But I'm here with Adam Martin.
I know all those guys.
You know all those guys.
Those people.
Adam is the Adam of Dave and Adam.
That's right.
Sports Card, Sports World. You've built quite an empire. How did that get started, Adam? Because I remember you when, and you remember me when.
Oh my gosh, Jim! I was just thinking about when I first met you. It was probably in the early '90s. I started doing cards in the mid '80s, around '86, to Don Mattingly, Eric Davis, rookie craze time, and but I really started to travel nationally, going to nationals, going to the Kit Young Trade Show in Hawaii. I'm guessing that's where I met you.
We probably met there, but were you always from the beginning a guy that thought big? Because that was my impression, that you weren't buying cards one at a time, even in the beginning.
My mom tells a story about how when I was a little boy, I figured out that if I didn't want to eat the tomatoes she was growing, I could pick the tomatoes and sell them door to door in my neighborhood. And then, I was the one with the Kool-Aid stand with the cookies. So I'd like to think that I had a little bit of a capitalistic bent in my youth. And I was going to college, and I didn't have a car, and I had to walk/jog to campus, and I would go down the street that had 3 baseball card stores on it.
Back in the day.
I got a job in one of them, so this is 85. And I really liked that concept of buying something for $10 and selling it for $20, and I embraced it right away.
Well, there have been periods in the hobby where it was easier to buy than to sell, as well as the opposite, which now it's easier to sell than to buy.
I think that's true. I think when I meet with my team, and
you got to be thinking, how do we get more product?
That's right. How do we spend more money? Because one of the things that's happening right now, Panini and Topps especially, since their products are so based upon autographs, they really can't ask these rookies to sign any more than they already are. So they are virtually at a cap of what they can produce. So if you wanted to grow your business, and I'm a partner with both those companies, but you just can't buy any more product than you're already getting. So you have to go out and find other things to buy to keep selling.
But do you feel like the autographs are what really drive it? Because there's other, not necessarily contrived scarcity, but I mean, they have some variational scarcities and serial numbering and certain kinds of memorabilia that seems to be more plentiful. Is it really the autographs that have to be there to drive the higher prices?
There are certainly brands like Prism, Panini's Prism, Bowman for Topps, the Upper Deck 1 and 2 for Upper Deck, of course, where the cards that people are chasing are just technology cards, or in the case of Upper Deck, ink and paper.
But don't they have to move that way? That's the only way they can get out of the dilemma that you've expressed.
Right. So, but they have these brands that are succeeding for them, and if they say every box has an autograph, not to mention think about what Walmart has and what Target has, and all those need to have autographs. And so Panini sources 8 million autographs a year. I don't know if you've heard that number. It's incredible when you think about it. And it's because they have these successful brands that require autographs. And so, the only way to make more of something would be to get away from autograph content. And it works
somewhat.
Certain brands, but all their other brands that are successful, people look forward, I think, still to the autographs more than anything else.
You've got a thriving business, but when I see you at the Nationals and I see some of your ads, you not only have the current product, but you have pretty good action in not way older stuff as much as, but not necessarily this year's stuff. Well, what's the configuration there?
So what the best thing about us, we're pretty diverse right now.
Yeah.
We're one of the top comic book buyers in the world right now, which is great. We just brought Reed Casaoka back. He'd been with us for a long time now. He's back, and he's traveling around, spending money like crazy. He's buying a big deal of 52 high numbers in a few weeks. It's kind of exciting. Those guys have the best jobs. I think we have 20 guys who travel around buying vintage toys and vintage autographs and vintage cards. And
do they pay you to have that job, or
no,
you pay them?
No, but they work hard. They do okay. But that's the fun side of the building. I walk over there and say, "Oh, look, a Babe Ruth ball,"
Yeah.
So that's the best part. What I do is just more or less distribution now. Those guys have the fun job.
Tell me about your partnership with Dave.
Well, Dave and I were partners in 1991, and we've been friends forever. Then last year, he decided he was done. So I think it was last fall, so just about not quite a year and a half ago, he's been with this great woman, and they've been dating for a few years. They decided they're going to get married, and they want to move. They want to move south. I don't know why Buffalo's beautiful this time of year, but they want to move south, and so he just decided maybe it was better for him to, after having done this for 30 years of his life, to step away. He's done pretty well. He's banked some of his pennies that he's made, and he's a
good guy.
And he's retired right now. And people ask me, how's he doing? And I talk to him every month.
I bet he's doing fine.
I bet he's playing. I think he's playing a lot of golf, and I don't know if he'll go back into business and do anything else, but Right now, I think he's
most
enjoying his life.
people, when they retire, they know what they're retiring from, but they don't necessarily know what they're retiring to. And I would think it'd be tough for Dave because what he was retiring from was something that probably was a lot of fun. Most of it.
Yeah, so Dave,
Occasional headache, I'm sure.
I always got to be the guy who flies around and goes to all the shows and hangs out with you and everything else. And
I see him in some stuff back.
He goes to a few things, but Dave is always in his office dealing with all the numbers. And I think, after doing that for many, many years, especially during some of the lower times, I think he just wanted to get out of the office and stop dealing with numbers every day during his life. So
when I was finishing in grad school and I interviewed for a faculty position, one of the interviews was in Buffalo, at the sunny Buffalo State University.
My alma mater.
Sunny Buffalo. And I had a nice interview there. Unfortunately, when I got off the plane for the interview, it was 30 below. The wind chill wasn't the actual temperature, but the wind chill was 30 below. And so I thought about it. There's a great group of faculty there. And there were some collectors there. I went over, I had dinner with Jim Macy.
I know Jim.
Yeah. Before,
I just saw
who
Jim.
was a long-time collector, kind of my age-ish. And, we talked about all that. The following week, I had an interview in Bowling Green, at Bowling Green State University, where I actually went. I accepted that job because when I got off the plane there, it was only 20 below. This was like in late January of 1975, I guess. And they are apologizing. Oh, we're so sorry it's so cold. I just came from Buffalo.
That's funny. Yeah.
This is balmy. But both places are right on the lakes.
They are.
Where you get the cold wind out there.
They are.
At any rate, so Dave's moved on. How come it's Dave and Adams instead of Adam and Dave's?
Oh, that's why I'll give you the 2-minute version of the story. I met Dave doing card shows around Buffalo and Rochester, and we were both very young men. And at the time, the Buffalo Bills were getting hot, and some of the Sabres were getting hot, so I was talking late 80s, and I wanted to run some ads. And it was a good old Sports Collectors Digest classified section. And I said, I was looking for someone to partner the expense with me. And so I said, hey, I have this great idea. Why don't we call ourselves Adam and Dave's Hockey World? Because we're going to start buying Pierre Turgeon rookies. And Dave said, and I said, I'll put my phone number in, and I'm still living at home. Put my phone number in, they'll call, and my mom will say how important we are, and I'll talk to people on the phone, and I'll buy a bunch of Dave Andreychuk rookies and Thurman Thomas rookies, and we'll split them. And he said, oh, I want them to call me too. I want to get those calls. That's the fun part. And I said, well, why don't we call it Dave and Adams Hockey World? And that eventually morphed into Dave and Adams Card World, just kind of stuck. So I've been called Dave about 53,000 times in my life. Because Dave wanted people to call his dorm room.
It just comes out that way.
Complex negotiation.
What was the turning point for your business when you went from kind of a couple of guys to a kind of a you still don't have a corporate feel in the classic sense.
Yeah, we have 100 people.
I know, but I mean, it's not stiff.
No, it's not.
It's still, I bet it's like our company.
Yeah, no one's wearing ties.
More of a family-friendly community sense of fraternity almost.
Yeah, we rarely get dressed up unless somebody really important is coming.
Because you've been through the ups and downs of the industry.
I certainly think when we really started advertising a lot more in the early 90s in print media, including your publications, thank you, and really started getting on the national stage, going to every major show, buying and selling. And then the internet, of course, was really where it went from. So we kind of had developed a good mail order customer base of a few thousand people, and they followed us over the internet. We were super active on eBay in their initial years, and we grew a base that way. But that really it's just the emergence of the internet and learning how to source product, have enough to sell online, and treat people online like you'd hope you'd be treated face to face. And I think that took us a long way.
How have you kept avoided confusion from doing a little bit of retail, a whole bunch of wholesale, but then you're also like a super wholesaler. You're a wholesaler to the wholesalers. So how do you have different price breaks for quantity, or how do you keep that straight?
It's interesting. I always tell people that we're a commodities brokerage house. It doesn't matter what something costs when it comes out. If it costs $100 a box, but market is dictating it's $300, then we want to sell as close to $300 as possible. Yeah. And unfortunately, a few years ago, market could take that $100 box down to $60. Yeah. Right? So for us, the difference between wholesale and retail are almost non-existent now. If a case is worth $5,000, we sell it for $5,000. Doesn't matter who you are. We sell it for whatever the market value of it is. So we don't really distinguish between wholesale and retail anymore, although we have better customers who we will try to help whenever possible.
But again, when the hobby is hot like it is now, it's even difficult to give quantity pricing.
Yeah.
Because you don't even have quantity. It's like it's 5,000 for one, but maybe it's 11,000 for two.
Well, I'd like to think it's like 4,900 for two, and not 11
whatever.
But we have some. I have some good friends out there. I ran into one, and he's a very successful businessman, remarkably successful, and he'll call and say, "Hey, can I get 10 cases of National Treasures?" No.
Yeah.
Because you have to have it for everyone, and you can't be giving big price breaks right now because the market is so strong. You're just leaving money on the table, so to speak.
One thing that was unhealthy about the market back when you got in, when I was around in those days, is that there was a lot of product that was being sold, but it wasn't necessarily being opened. It was being stored away. Mm-hmm. Do you perceive that that's even Is that a very minute part of it now, or is there stuff being put back to the tune of 5%?
I think there's a lot of product being put back again right now.
10%?
Maybe 10%, which is quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think when you're talking about back in the mid to late 80s, early 90s,
Right.
it was more like 50%.
50%.
So, but 10% is kind of remarkable. And I mentioned you before we started the interview that there's a lot of new money in the business right now.
Yeah.
I saw people at the National spending crazy amounts of money I'd never seen before. And I worry about them.
They were under 18.
No. But there's a lot of people putting real money in and putting product away. And I hope that it serves them better than it did, the folks back in the 80s. So that didn't work out so well for them.
10% I could handle. That wouldn't be so bad. That would be interesting to see. But again, there has to be, like I've said this before, there has to be health of the robust health of the hobby from the top guys all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
And that when people open up something, they've got to be excited about what they open.
That's right.
Not just the very best card. And so most of your business is in unopened stuff, right?
Yeah, 90% plus.
Okay. But you'll still buy collections.
Oh yeah.
Okay. One of the things, tell me a story, because I've heard this from people that have been in the industry for a long. Kit Young has famous stories about this, our mutual friend. But collections are big deals that he sold to a favorite customer who 10 years or more later comes back and says, I want you to buy it back.
We have a great customer.
I bet you've had
in the great state of Texas who we sold 25 years ago an unopened box of 62 top size series baseball. Now you think about how many of those are out there. And I recently, he doesn't need the money by any means, but I recently flew down. And I don't go on deals myself anymore, but I miss him, and I flew down and I bought that box back and sold it. And we're talking, so that was an interesting one because it had gone up, more than 10 times in value since I sold it to him. So he was pretty happy.
Well, I think one of the episodes I did was that if you've ever sold anything in this industry 30 or 40 years ago, unless it was junk wax, you lost money compared to opportunity loss.
88 top stud Senzo rookies.
But you don't have any heartburn about that. The things you sold that were too cheap. You just keep moving. You're like a shark.
Only if
you got to keep moving. You got to keep getting product.
I still collect. I have a nice personal collection. So occasionally I regret something I sold 20 years ago. I wish I'd kept for myself.
Last question. What's the focus of your collection? What do you focus on?
48 to the present baseball, pre-war baseball. Actually, I'm collecting a lot of caramel cards, a lot of the E issues, and then
in the finest condition,
and a lot of baseball Hall of Famers. X, VGX. It doesn't have to be great as long as it has a nice eye appeal. A lot of Hall of Fame autographs. Beatles. I could go on and on. I collect a lot.
So not that focused.
1980 Olympics.
It's just focused on things that you enjoy.
Things that I care about.
That you've experienced or that you
I wasn't around for the Beatles. I've been 2 or 3, but I just think they were great. So I collect Beatles and the 80 Olympic team, a hockey team I thought was great. So I collect that stuff. And then, of course, baseball because look what I do for a living. So.
Yeah. Well, Adam, I'm not going to call you Dave. I have called you Dave at least once.
Well, you're only one of many.
One of many. And, but we've had a friendship, and I've admired how you've built your business because you've created a niche that has provided service. And you, like what I felt like I did, you've had imitators.
Yes,
but the fact that you've kept innovating has kept you going strong. So thanks, listeners. Thanks, Adam, for sharing some of your story. We'll be back again tomorrow with another episode. As always, enjoy the hobby, and you might even consider not just our sponsors, but David Adams today. So thanks again. So long.